So you're a developer, right? And you're staring at this huge question. Flutter? React Native? Or should you just stick with good old native development? It's a huge decision. And honestly, it feels like everyone's buzzing about Flutter lately, even ditching the old ways of building for Android or iOS. If you're trying to figure out what to learn or what to build your next big project with in 2025, you have come to the right place. We are going to break this down and make it super, super clear.
All right, let's just jump right in. This is it, the big three-way showdown. It's the question on every single mobile dev's mind right now. And I promise you, by the time we're done here, you're going to have a really clear idea of which way to go, which path makes the most sense for you, and what you want to build. Okay, first up, let's meet the challenger, Flutter. You can think of it as the new kid on the block, but it's one that's backed by Google, and it was built to tackle some really old, really annoying problems in the app world. So what is Flutter really? Well, at its heart, it's all about making that write once, run anywhere dream a reality. You know the old way, right? It was a total nightmare. You'd have to build an app for iOS, then build a completely separate app for Android. Two teams, two code bases. It was slow, it was expensive. Flutter just says, nope, we're not doing that anymore. You write your code one time, and boom, it runs beautifully on iPhones, Android phones, on the web, even on your desktop. It's a massive game changer. But how does it actually do that? How does it look so consistent everywhere? Well, this is where the magic happens. See, most other frameworks, they kind of borrow the native buttons and menus from the phone's operating system. Flutter doesn't do that. Instead, it's like a painter with a blank canvas. It uses its own super powerful rendering engine called Skia to draw every single pixel itself. This means it has total control. The result? You get these incredibly buttery smooth animations and a UI that is pixel perfect and looks exactly the same on every device. No more of those annoying little glitches where a button looks one way on iOS and slightly different on Android. It's just perfect. And it's not just the final app that's great. Developers absolutely love working with it. It uses a language called Dart, which, surprise, surprise, was also made by Google, and it's tailor-made for building UIs. But the real killer feature? It's something called Hot Reload. This is amazing. You can make a change in your code, hit save, and see that change appear in your app almost instantly. No waiting for it to recompile. It makes development so much faster and more fun. So you put all that together, the language, Hot Reload, its amazing performance, and the fact that Google is behind it, and you can see why it's catching on like wildfire. Okay, time for the main event. First up in round one, we've got the heavyweight clash. Flutter versus its biggest, most established competitor, React Native. Let's see how they stack up. All right, let's talk about speed, performance. This is where you see a fundamental difference in how they're built. Flutter's code gets compiled directly into the native language of the phone. It's like speaking directly to the hardware. React Native, well, it has to use this thing called a JavaScript bridge. Imagine you have two people who don't speak the same language. The bridge is like a translator in the middle. It works, but it can slow things down, creating a bottleneck. And you really feel that lag when you're dealing with heavy animations or complex interactions. Flutter just doesn't have that problem. It was built for speed from day one. So yeah, when it comes to raw, out-of-the-box performance, there's a clear winner. Flutter takes this round hands down. It just means you're going to spend way less time pulling your hair out trying to optimize things and more time actually building cool stuff. Next up, UI and design consistency. And this goes right back to what we were talking about earlier. Remember how Flutter draws everything itself? Well, this is where that superpower really shines. You get absolute pixel-perfect control. Your design, your branding, it's going to look exactly how you want it to on any phone anywhere. React Native, because it relies on those native OS components, can be a bit of a gamble. The UI might look just a little off between iOS and Android. And trust me, chasing down those tiny differences can be a huge headache. So for this round, the winner is clear again. If your app's look and feel, that consistent brand experience, is a top priority, Flutter has a massive advantage. It's really a designer's dream come true. Okay, but what about the tools and libraries you can use? The ecosystem. Now this is where it gets interesting. React Native has been around for a while, so its ecosystem is enormous. It's like a gigantic, sprawling marketplace on NPM where you can find a package for almost anything you can imagine. Flutter's ecosystem, pub.dev, is newer and smaller, but it's often seen as more curated. Think of it as quality over quantity. A lot of the key packages are officially supported or validated by Google, so you can generally trust them a bit more. You know what? For this round, I'm calling it a tie. It really comes down to personal preference. Do you want the biggest library with endless options? Even if some are a bit hit or miss, go with React Native. Or do you prefer a more polished, reliable, but smaller set of tools? Then Flutter's your bet. There's no wrong answer here.
Okay, let's switch gears. We've seen how Flutter stacks up against its cross-platform rival. But what about the OG, the original, most powerful way to build an app? It's time for round two, Flutter versus native. Now, let's be super clear about this. When it comes to raw, unadulterated power, native development is still the undisputed king. If you need to tap into the deepest, most obscure hardware feature on a phone, or you're building some AAA-level game, native is the way to go. It gives you ultimate control. But, and this is a big but, that power comes at a very, very steep price. And just look at what that cost is. With native, you're not building one app, you're building two. You need an Android team and an iOS team. That means double the people, which makes it way more expensive. It's slower to build because you're doing everything twice. And maintenance? It's a nightmare trying to keep two code bases in sync. Flutter just cuts right through all that. One team, one code base, you're building faster, you're spending less, and keeping the app updated is so much easier. And this right here really sums it all up. This is the whole pitch for Flutter in one sentence. You're getting like 90% of that amazing native performance, but for maybe half the effort. It's an incredible trade-off. It's what makes Flutter so compelling for so many businesses. Okay, so we've looked at all the head-to-head battles. We've seen the pros and cons. So now for the big question, how do you actually choose? Let's get practical and figure out which one is right for your next project.
So when is Flutter the absolute no-brainer choice? Well, think about these scenarios. Are you a startup trying to get an MVP out the door super fast? Flutter's perfect. Are you building an e-commerce or social media app where that beautiful, consistent branding is everything? Go with Flutter. Are you on a tight budget or a tight deadline? Again, Flutter is going to be your best friend. It's built for speed, efficiency, and a fantastic user experience.
But let's be real, it's not the answer for everything. There are definitely times when you should still avoid it. If you're trying to build the next Fortnite or a really high-intensity augmented reality app, something that pushes the phone's hardware to its absolute limit, you're probably still better off going native. Same goes for apps that need access to very niche, low-level OS features. So what's the final verdict? Well, here it is. Native is still the king of power, and React Native is a solid, mature choice. But for the vast majority of apps, I'm talking maybe 80% of what's being built today, Flutter just hits this perfect sweet spot. It gives you that near-native performance with a beautiful UI, all from a single code base. For most developers and most companies, it's simply the smartest, most efficient, and most powerful choice you can make right now.
So yeah, for today, Flutter has found that perfect sweet spot. It's the winner for 2025. But you know how this industry works, right? Tech never, ever stands still. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. What comes next? What do you think the next perfect sweet spot will look like?